how to automate and scale personalized cold email outreach without hiring more reps or paying for ZoomInfo. Your sales rep is wasting 80% of their day doing manual outreach. This is costing you at least $50,000 per year in wasted manual work. If you can save 20% of your team's time across a 5-person team, or even just reduce your team's headcount by 1 SDR, you'll save $50,000 to $80,000 per year. So, is it worth 20 minutes of your time to watch this video, which is free? Maybe. It depends on how much your time is worth. If your time is worth $50,000 an hour and you don't think it's worth it to save $50,000 a year, then that's cool. You can click off this video. If you do agree and you think it's worth it, then let me show you how you can automate your outbound sales to save 80% of your sales team's time. Now let's dig into it. If you don't know me, my name is Isaac Wood. I'm the founder of levergrowth.io. We are a B2B lead generation agency. We're working with B2B services, software businesses to help them grow and add 10 to 20 more qualified sales calls to their calendar every single month on autopilot. Now here is a little bit of social proof from some of our customers just to show you that we are in fact actually booking meetings, some case studies, success interviews, some more client wins. The average SDR makes $55,000 per year plus bonus and other hiring costs. Historically, an SDR team usually includes 3 to 10 reps hired to do outreach and do prospecting to new customers. This means that a 3-person SDR team costs $250,000 per year. And that doesn't even account for the churn related to the cost associated with backfilling your talent. You're probably already aware that the average SDR's turnover rate is 34% annually, so that's going to come around quite regularly. Not to mention the monthly 5-figure cost of stale data and an outdated tech stack like ZoomInfo. Not only is the SDR expensive, but SDRs are spending 80% of their time working the wrong leads and doing the lowest leverage work. This bottleneck process results in a cascading waterfall of negative consequences. SDRs miss quota, AEs miss their targets, and sales teams miss on revenue. You get the point. The average SDR spends their day doing this kind of stuff, manually building lists in Sales Nav and ZoomInfo, manually researching accounts, manually enriching that contact information, and manually writing personalization emails. This is what a calendar might look like for an SDR. And so 80% of that day is spent doing manual tasks, as you can see here. All time spent doing manual list building and writing personalized messages is wasted because it can and should be automated. So if this is possible, then why are SDRs still spending all day doing manual prospecting? That's because they probably haven't heard of Clay.com or they haven't figured out how to use it yet. Think of Clay as a workflow tool that can basically do all of the manual work done by a VA or an SDR with 100% accuracy. Clay is basically a spreadsheet with integrations to over 75 different data sources, so you can enrich your data, do research, and much, much more. So this tool enables insanely targeted prospecting at scale. Users can build their dream list with a fraction of the time what previously might have taken an army of offshore VAs and a week's worth of time and labor can now be done in effectively 10 minutes and in a fraction of the cost required. The efficiencies generated from Clay are absolutely game-changing. And so in today's video, I'm going to show you how to use Clay. What we're going to cover. First, I'm going to give you all the basics of Clay 101. We'll walk through Clay's data sources and all their integrations, and I'll show you how to navigate around the platform so you can actually use it and actually get a result. At the end of this video, you'll be able to log into the platform, use the main data sources to create a table inside the platform, removing the need for any manual data scraping. First step, you want to just log into Clay. So again, think of Clay as a workflow tool. It can basically do the work of a team of SDRs. Once you've logged in, navigate to workplace settings. So you want to access your workplace, navigate to workspace section, go to settings and billing, and then go to workspace settings to manage the billing and set up your integrations. This will be very important if you're going to use the APIs to integrate your data tools with the platform. While this isn't explicitly necessary, this is going to be very helpful to save on credits ongoing. Next step is to create a new table. So select home on the left menu to navigate to this workspace section, and then just create a new table. So just select the create new button and then hit select table. So you just hit this blue button and then select table. Next step, you want to work with your table. So there's a bunch of different outputs that you can get with this. The use cases are effectively endless. The most of your work is actually going to be done inside of this table. So to use the table, you'll hit the add enrichment button and the add column button for most of the tasks that we'll be doing. So we'll cover enrichments in more detail in a bit, but in short, the tool, again, it has 75 different data enrichment tools, which you can use to find email addresses. You can do firmographic searches. You can look for different technologies or just figure out if they're a good fit for your company, scrape intent data, so much more. Next step, enrichments and recipes. So to add enrichments, you're going to click add enrichment to enhance your table with additional data. And then you can use additional data enrichment. So enrich data on a company level to find a company's open job titles, their latest funding information, their tech stack. You can enrich the data on a personal level to find their person's social profile, their email addresses, their phone numbers, and again, much more. So the next thing here is you'll go to tools enrichment. So enrich the data with tools inside of Clay or by using Claygent, which is their native AI scraper. So you can also manipulate the data inside the tables to quickly normalize the company names to create a formula or a lookup or write to table. And you'll do that this way. Next thing is integrations. So you can enrich data using Clay's built-in integrations with third-party sources like Apollo, built with StoreLeads, Clearbit, HubSpot, email validation tools like Debounce. Again, if you want to bring your own API key, if you have subscriptions to any of these data tools, you can just hook that up and it'll not run the Clay credits. Instead, it'll use your subscription credits, which depending on where you're at, it could actually save you quite a bit of cash in the long run. Next thing here, we want to talk about our recipes. So we'll use pre-made recipes if you have a relevant use case. So these are going to be workflows that come pre-loaded with multiple data enrichments so you can get a specific outcome, like finding a domain name given specific inputs, finding a company's LinkedIn page from a company name, or you can even just do a enrichment waterfall to find somebody's work email. Next step is to actually set up your APIs. So set up your API for any software subscriptions you have to reduce your use of Clay credits. You have two options to set up your API connections. You can do it inside your table or in your workplace settings. This is how you do it inside a table. Just search for the enrichment and then you can add your API key. So you just click add an account and then put in whatever your actual key name is. And this is how you do it in workplace settings. So just again, search for that enrichment, add your API key. Going to be pretty standard across all of the different integrations. Next, we'll talk about adding more table functions. So something that's really useful is going to be the merge columns function. So use this to merge multiple fields into one. So this is similar to a concatenate function if you're using Google Sheets or Excel. And so merging columns is especially useful if you have, say, a first name column and a last name column, and you want to combine the two to create a full name. That's just one example of ways in which you can use the merge function. The next step is additional table functions. So we can also talk about auto deduplication. So enable auto deduplication to avoid duplicate entries when importing new data. And all you got to do is click these three buttons here and then hit auto dedupe, and it does all the work for you without any formulas. Another little tip here is to save some credits. So turn off the auto update function to prevent unnecessary use of Clay credits. And that's, again, just click these three buttons and then you'll click the auto update columns up there. And that will prevent you from automatically running your enrichments. You'll have to manually do it. So it might be a little clunkier, but this is really useful, especially if you're playing around and just trying to get good results at the beginning anyway. And then let's talk about visualization tools. So there's a view graph function. So you can use this function to visualize the data within your table. So this is going to show you how your different fields are actually interacting with each other and can give you more context into what enrichments you're actually running, right? So if you have your company website, you can have multiple enrichments running off of that specific data point. You might have company LinkedIn page, and then you can find some companies at that specific page, and then you might just have company name that's just kind of sitting on its own. So this will give you a visual of seeing how everything is interacting. So now let's talk Clay sources and integrations. So first step, sources. So we're going to use sources to pull data directly in from Clay. So to access this, again, you're just going to start on that main homepage, hit create new, hit table, and then we'll select your data source. So we're going to walk through some of the most relevant data sources in the next few slides. All right, so company sources. There's a lot going on here. We have find companies. So this is just finding companies from LinkedIn. This is find jobs. So that's basically searching for specific jobs based on titles and keywords. And then you can further enrich that data. You have Google Maps. So that's going to be right here. Basically just finding any sort of local business using Google Maps. You might want to find a business or specific people that are located within your certain city or a certain geography as well. You can use a tool called Apify, which will allow you to scrape large data sets outside of the platform without any manual effort. You can then import that into Clay and manipulate your data in there. You can also use a tool called StoreLeads. So that's a good use case if you target e-commerce businesses. HubSpot, you can just connect your HubSpot CRM into Clay. And so you can pull data and you can even push data right back into it to enrich your existing context within your CRM. And then right here we have a CSV import. So basically, if you have any sort of bulk data, you can import it with this tool. Next, we'll talk people sources. This one right here is find people. So we're going to find people from LinkedIn. Next one is going to be Sales Nav. So if you have a Sales Navigator URL, you can just plug that in there and you're going to get an even more targeted list. You can use a tool called Phantom Buster. So Phantom Buster will scrape social platforms like LinkedIn and Twitter. So you can find the engagers of a influencer or a specific post, get really dialed in and niche data. Next one, you can use GitHub. So that's just retrieving context from GitHub. This is especially useful if you're targeting engineers or technical folks who are working and living in GitHub. HubSpot contacts, again, that's going to be if your contacts already live in the CRM HubSpot, you can just push that in and enrich them further and do some data manipulation, just figuring out who's going to be the highest propensity to buy, who's going to have the highest scored leads. You can use Close if that is your CRM. You can just import a CSV of contacts. Similar to the company search, you can just plug in individual lines of people and then enrich your data from there as well. Then this last one here is Google Search Operator. So you can use an advanced Google search to find specific blogs. You can find specific articles or even do searches of a specific site to find information like specific keywords that might be relevant to you. Advanced data import options. So this is going to be a little more technical, but if you know how to use webhooks, you can pull data from other sources that don't have native integrations inside of Clay. You can pull directly from Apollo. So my suggestion is if you just bulk export it and you can put it in manually, but if you're using an enterprise plan, it's a really good use case to just pull that data in direct. You can use Typeform to collect email addresses or other lead data, especially if you have a form on your site. You can push that directly into Clay. So then you can enrich that further and just use it for messaging and your targeting purposes. If you are using Salesforce, again, it's similar to HubSpot, but you can enrich that contact data as well. And then if you use Airtable, you can enrich your contacts or any sort of company information that exists in there. So you can see there's all different kinds of use cases depending on your tech stack. And so if you are using any of the common CRMs today, or if you're using any of the big data sources, they're probably going to be integrated in here. Let's talk using Apify. So if you're not familiar with Apify, it is a web scraper. So you can bulk scrape the web using different actors within the platform. There's one that's particularly good. It's Google Map Scraper. So this is going to be, if you're a little more technical, this is going to be useful for you, but you can also outsource this potentially as well if you're going to build a big list with a lot of data, or finding a more niche data set that might not just be on LinkedIn or in Apollo. You can also use RSS feeds. So subscribing to RSS feeds is going to allow you as the user to keep track of all these different websites in a single news aggregator. So this is going to be constantly monitoring sites for new content. So basically you don't need to be going and checking and saying, all right, this company was funded recently, or this company is going through an acquisition or a merger or an expansion or something of that nature, you can use RSS feeds to pull this data down on a regular cadence, and then you can automatically enrich it using Clay. So once you've actually selected your data source and imported it into your new Clay table, you can now enrich your data with these built-in integrations. So these are going to be used as a way to both enrich your data, but also can be a destination like your CRM or your sending tool if you're using something like SmartLead. So here is an example workflow from data source to enrichment to pushing to a final destination, just to give you a sense of what that might actually look like. So first, you'll use a data source to find relevant companies. Once you have that company in your table, then you'll need to find people to actually reach out to. So you can do this by using the Find People integration and then search for relevant titles within that company. So first, you find the companies, and then you use the integration to find the relevant people. Then once you have the people at the good companies, then you want to enrich for additional contact information. Especially if they're going to be good fit companies, right? So you'll use an email finder enrichment tool like Find Email to get their contact information. Once you have their contact information, then you want to validate it. If you're following along with anything cold email related, you'll know validating your emails is very, very important. So just make sure that you can do that, and you can do it in the platform here. So the next step here is just, again, once you have your valid list, you have your companies, you have good fit prospects at those companies, you have their email addresses, you validated their email addresses, then you can just ship that data right into SmartLead, right into a campaign, and then just send the campaign out whenever it's good to go. All right, let's talk integrations inside of Clay now. In this module, I'm going to show you how to set up an integration. So in most cases, the process is exactly the same, and I already shared this a little bit before, but the reason why you would want to set up any integration is to sync your data between your tool and Clay. So again, let's assume you use HubSpot as your CRM. You can pull data from HubSpot to enrich and score it, or push data into HubSpot. You can also maintain a do not contact list, so you can check against this list before syncing your data and then pushing it into SmartLead. So you would have to do this manually beforehand, but now you can do it completely automated. Some tools will allow for OAuth authentication, but most will just be a standard API key. To set up a specific integration, in this case, we'll talk SmartLead. You're going to go to SmartLead and then go to add an account for SmartLead, and then copy the API key from your SmartLead profile. Once you've copied that, you just go to the authenticate. Then you'll go into Clay, you'll go into the table and actually just add your API key in there. So just authenticate the account inside of Clay, and then you'll complete that integration, and then you'll be able to use that data. This is how you set up HubSpot if you're using it. So navigate to the integration settings inside of Clay and then select HubSpot. Then click on add an account and then follow the OAuth process to authenticate. And then to connect the account, you will just click through, follow the prompts, and then once it's actually connected, you're going to be able to sync your data between Clay and HubSpot. In general, most integrations are going to require you to enter an API key. The process is the same for all tools like Apify and all those other integrations. So now you know how to do it. Using LinkedIn data inside of Clay. First, we're going to find companies from LinkedIn. So one of the best data sources inside Clay is the find company source. So we'll start by finding companies on LinkedIn, and then we'll exclude any companies that we've already done outreach to. It's important to note that this data is not native LinkedIn data. Clay does use a third-party data provider, and it buys their LinkedIn data in bulk. So there might be a bit of degradation when using this source, but in general, I found it to be pretty accurate. Now you want to navigate to create a new table in Clay, and then you can select find companies as a source. So to get a really good result, you're going to have to manipulate this like you would be using a sales nav search. So you can either start with a company search query, you can do lookalikes based on a domain, or a keyword search based on like the company's description. The lookalike search is similar to a tool called Ocean.io. It's still worth checking out to see if you can get good results with it. If you're going to use the lookalikes, then Make sure that you're using Clay to filter out your results to ensure that your targeting is accurate. Next, you want to exclude previously found companies. So like if you've already built a list and you want to make sure that you're not hitting up the same people from that list, you can use this option to just get rid of all of those people that were in the other list. The next step is to select your search filters. So pick target industry, company size, any relevant keywords. Also, just make sure to select any exclusions that are going to indicate a bad fit. Then you'll preview the companies. So basically, this will allow you to review and adjust as necessary. And then you'll just import to a new table. Next step here is just enriching the data. So you can add enrichments. You can get a fully enriched LinkedIn profile for 1 credit per row. You can get their recent news, their tech stack, the account growth, job openings. Again, this is going to cost more credits, but if you are building a super targeted smaller list and you have credits, this could be worth your time. Next step is populating the table. So you'll see different data fields in here, such as the company name, the description, the industry, the size, the type, the location, the country, the domain, and the LinkedIn URL. So this is all free data as well. So now we'll find people at these companies within that list you just built, right? So we'll go back to create a new table. Now we're going to find people, which is right here. And then we're going to select that previous list as the source. And again, we're just going to be filtering like we would build any other list. So filter for your best fit prospects. So owners, founders, CEOs, presidents, heads, VPs, directors, senior marketers, or senior managers, whatever it is you're specifically targeting. And then you can use advanced filters to target specific roles based on the keywords in their profile. So maybe they are doing SEO, or maybe they're a PPC guy. They have that in their bio, and so that'll allow you to just pull that data. Next, we'll be importing people data. So preview the search results for people. This will allow you to just make sure, it's a sanity check, just make sure everything's good to go. It looks all right. And then you'll import the people data into a new table with the basic profile, which again is free. So now we'll have a list of relevant contacts, which will include their first name, their last name, their job title, their location, their company, domain, LinkedIn profile, and their personal LinkedIn profile. And so this is going to be very important to enrich their contact information in the next few steps. So again, if you want to add or exclude companies, you'll just go back to that company search. You'll add more companies while excluding those already found. And then if you want to use the exclude function, you can ensure most of those new searches do not overlap with the previous ones. This is going to be helpful if you're quickly replenishing your campaigns at the beginning of a month and you don't want to build out a completely new targeting style. So now let's use open jobs data on LinkedIn to build a list. First step here is just getting the lay of the land, right? So another useful data source is using open jobs data to build your list. So open jobs will indicate some kind of a business need because they're hiring to solve a specific problem. So you can use these open jobs as intent to buy. This process is very similar to the find companies workflow that we just discussed, but I'm going to go through it because it's useful. So, right, you have your data source and then you have your integrations. We'll find open jobs from LinkedIn and then we're going to enrich relevant people. So to set up the job search, first you'll just go to find job source inside of Clay. Then we will select table as a source. So we'll use a previously created table as a source for this job search. And again, you can exclude duplicates if you'd like. And you don't necessarily have to use a list that you've used previously, but if that is the account list, you only want companies from that account list, this is how you would do that. Then you'll filter around for different job results. So use titles and keywords to do so. Use those descriptions to detect technology that another tool could potentially miss, right? So for here, we're saying, include the job titles, and if there's any keywords that they're including as well, maybe they're supposed to have experience using HubSpot. So this will tell you if HubSpot occurs in the job description, and then we'll pull that job data. Then you can just, again, preview the listings and then you'll import it for free. So now let's talk about what we're actually seeing here. So this table is going to include a bunch of different fields, including the company name, the job title, the location, and the job posting's LinkedIn URL and time of posting. So this is especially important, if you want to be hitting them up over a highly relevant job posting. It's less relevant if it was put up in January of 2023, right? So if you want to see more about it, you can actually click into this result. Just click into any of these. It will give you additional details and enrichments that you have available. And you can even put these into new columns if you'd like to then do future enrichments or personalizations. Then let's just talk about using job data for outreach. So you can use the recruiter information to reach out directly to hiring managers or recruiters. You can also use the job description insights to tailor your outreach, right? So say something like, hey, name, saw the job posting mentions whatever the keyword was, and then you could just ask some question relating to solving. Next thing we'll do is just import job data to a new or existing table. Again, you can add enrichments if you want to get more detail on the profiles or the company info. So that is how you use the main data sources and integrations inside of Clay. If you would like some help setting up your cold email, if you need some help building Clay tables, feel free to click the link in the description below, book a meeting with us. We will hop on a call, we'll understand your situation, looking where you're trying to go. If it is a good fit, we'll talk about next steps from there and see how we can actually get to work together. If not, I'll just point you in the direction of some content that could potentially help you out given your situation. But otherwise, I will see you in the next video. Peace.